many of you are channels in here?
That's
everybody. We are all channels. We are all bringing our vastness, we might call it the higher self, the soul, the infinite self, but we are all bringing that vastness into our unique expression here in linear time, in the realm of conditions, as Arian likes to call it. So channeling in all of its different forms is available to us. We just all practice and do it in different ways. Some do it when they're cooking. Some do it when they're painting. Some do it when they're teaching children. Some do it when they're in conversation. Some do it in English. Some do it in light language. All different kinds of ways that we channel. But in essence, it is us tapping into the natural flow of our vastness and bringing it through in a unique form in the moment. So hearing Lisa's story of what that process is like for her was really interesting, because even with those that channel in their known language, there's still a uniqueness to how each person does that. And even a uniqueness depending on the energies that you're bringing through, because Arian channels with eyes open. And that's a little uncomfortable for me. I have to work a little harder to focus, especially because I do so much light language. So I want to talk a little bit about that difference. So with the eyes open, I am a conscious channel, even through all of my years of channeling since probably about 2004, so about 20 years. I was always a conscious channel. I would sometimes interact with singular entities, and then I would sometimes interact with group forms. And Arian is a group consciousness. They are what they call the Lyrian Council of Time, and they, I was going to say built the name Arian just because of the way I received it, but they created the name Arian just to kind of represent what they are about. And when they first brought me the name Arian, they showed it to me spelled, and they said, our name is going to be Arian, because I could see them forming it. A friend confirmed that. And they said, the name is Arian, and they spelled it A-R-E-O-N. And my reaction was, really? That's the name? What if people think it's Arian, and then they're like, oh, this negative entity is all about the Arian. I don't know, I didn't like it. And so they said, that's the name. And then they left. We have that relationship sometimes. They have sometimes told me so. But with great love. So they came back about 2 weeks later, just talking about the name. It's not that they weren't there, but they said, now spell it backwards. And that was all they said to me. So when you spell it backwards, what does it spell? N-O-E-R-A. No era. So the Lyrian Council of Time created a name that has a lot of meaning to it, with the A-R, air, argon, the chemical element that we breathe in that doesn't change as quickly. It doesn't do that immediate change in our body. The mental and emotional balance that they're here to help us with. And then, of course, Eon. That's an obvious one. But when they said spell it backwards and it was no era, I was like, oh, okay. All right. That makes sense to me. So we get to have our human experience with this. And even as an open eye channel, I'm having my human experience as I listen to them channel. So I hear it coming out of my mouth at the same time that you're hearing it. And I have to work to stay focused, to not listen too carefully. Because if I'm listening and I'm like, oh yeah, that reminds me of this thing that happened, I pull the channel off. And so they have to situate me back into listening, but not thinking, because they are using my faculties, my words, to be able to transmit. It's the same thing that Vincent was referencing and Kelly was talking about as a psychic medium, that they have an information system, and the energies that they're connecting with are utilizing what's in their brain to then be able to relay forward to you. So it's an interesting process being an open eye channel. And sometimes I'm listening, I'm like, oh, they used a word wrong. They have to pull back the channel because I've started utilizing my brain too much. Now, the reason, of course, that they want open eyes, and Lisa talked about this with closed eyes. It's not that they must transmit through the eyes in order for there to be an energy flow. It's there. It's happening anyway. That's always higher self agreement between you, your guides, and then the energy that is there. But they like open eyes because they very directly transmit through the eyes. And generally what I'm seeing is the same thing that I'm seeing now. So I'm conscious, I'm seeing you, and I'm listening to them, and I'm working to not overthink with what I'm hearing. And every once in a while, which actually this just happened recently, I knew they were doing work, they just don't show it to me. But I was just in Shasta recently at an event, and we did like an hour-long channel panel. So I was in channel, even though I wasn't always talking. And that was a long time to be in channel without talking. So every once in a while, the veil would slip, and I would get to see what was happening with whomever they were working on at the time, or what they were doing with the group. And it was fascinating because it was very specific, but I generally have no clue about that. And I don't need to know. That's what your higher self has chosen to release or activate for you in the moment. But there's so much more going on than we are aware of. And that was a wonderful experience just for me and my own trust, and then to be able to convey to you, similar to what Lisa was talking about with the ship above them. When someone got chills, no one saw anything, but the video cameras did show something. So that's going on constantly, and that's what we're getting accustomed to. And actually, I am sure Arian is going to talk about that some today, because what the overview that they've been sharing with me so far has a lot to do with that. Because this is why we gather in these events, to have that group amplification and that intention that starts from Suzanne creating this event to everyone that chooses to come and participate in all of the different ways. That we all have this intention to elevate ourselves and life. And it's going on sometimes right in front of our eyes, but we just can't see it. So with that, I am going to let Arian come through. They are going to take questions, so they'll talk for a bit and then they'll take questions. And at 8:40, I will stop and kind of gather myself for a second and then start talking a little bit about light language and do a transmission for you there. Blessed beings, as always, it is a precious moment when we meet in your awareness. For it is your awareness that is a catalyst for change here in the earth experience. It is your awareness that shapes life. It is your awareness that forms the questions that guide you. It is your awareness that forms the solutions that flow into the field of information that you are all immersed within. It is your awareness that begins a process of change that is constant as you reside in the physical realm. Here, you move through linearity. You wear your dense human suit, forget the totality of who you are so that you can remember it in this form. And that is the power of your awareness. It creates life. It changes life. And life gives itself freely to you and your awareness. It gives itself freely to you with your questions, with your fears, your doubts, and your solutions. Life gives itself freely to you because you are life, creating life in human form. There is no bigger blessing to be. For you are endowed with all that life has ever been. As your Lyran ancestors, we came forth more directly, beginning strongly in your year 2012, because you had put forth a call to yourselves to activate more of who you truly are in the physical realm, to support and assist the entire natural evolution, often called ascension, because it is inbuilt into your physicality. But it is only activated with your awareness, with your choice. This is why this is called the realm of free will. Not because you have full control, but because you have the free will to navigate your awareness, to choose, to think, to feel, and to be as you, as a unique, divine, creative being of life, to create and shape this physical realm of experience. It is given to you. And all that is asked of you is to fully be who you are. You, blessed being. Call forth energies outside of time, outside of your linear space, and they respond to you. They sit before you in reverence to who you are, to all that you are experiencing and have experienced here, to the challenges that are within your DNA, your Akash, to the solutions that are also in your DNA, your Akash. For you come from the vastness to sit in linearity, not remembering how magnificent you are, that time and space would readjust for you. This is the breath of unconditional love that sits at your feet at all times, cherishing you For you come forth here with the vastness within your physicality to shape this realm. And it is so natural to you that you often overlook how profound you truly are. This is so natural to you that the questions arise, that the visions and the dreams that you naturally have often do not even form into words. They merely form into a desire and a path. And then that beautiful human mind can sometimes stumble, trying to figure out how you could create something so big when you can often feel so small. But it is only the small steps that create the journey. And this is so natural to you that the beautiful human mind of figuring out steps is perfect as it is when it can relax into the connection that you know that you are. When you can utilize your awareness to soften the fears, the details, the doubts, to soften the impulse to fix or act, to soften the impulse to expect how others may think or feel about you or your unique journey. To soften that impulse takes some effort, yes? And yet it is when you soften that impulse that your awareness naturally opens you up to the information that rests at your feet, that loves and cherishes you, that nourishes and supports you to create the life that you want to experience here. Your awareness, your beingness holds the keys to your creativity. Soften it more. Trust yourself. Trust the life that you are. For you are infinite, residing in finite experience. Always, infinitely, life is there with you, supporting you to be and create here. For you are life creating life. Soften into it, dear ones. This is natural to you. See the vastness that you truly are. And in those moments where the doubts arise, soften directly into them. Welcome them into your heart, into your awareness, and soften into that memory of how precious you are to life. You had the courage to come forth from infinite and experience the pain of finite. And with that comes the joy and the possibility of finite as well. Because it is never separate from infinite. We sit before you with great reverence. We open to questions that you bring forth. And we remind you constantly of the power that you are. Are there questions? Yes.
My question is free will a norm in the universe? And if it is, what does it look like? What does it look like from your perspective?
Is free will a norm in the universe? Beautiful. Free will is not always a norm. And free will maintains a separation between physicality in unique form and the connection that is always there. So free will, in all of its spectrum that it resides within throughout the universes, always follows the formula of that particular container. So free will have its spectrum of accessibility for a separate person, unit, and it will have its interaction with the overall container within which it directly resides. And as we say directly resides, even that has its layers of different interactions. So let us take that even further to clarify free will within your density. Because there are multiple layers of free will that you are currently working through to understand with greater depth your creative ability. You have the free will in your moment, at every moment, to choose how you interact and behave in that situation. And quite often, in those moments, it seems that something else takes over and you feel choiceless. Yes? You're familiar? Reaction. For even within your separate free will, you are in constant co-creation with your higher self, your connected self. So we speak in layers because you are your unique self, you are your connected self, and you are your connected species, you are your connected earth species, you are your connected cosmic species, and on and on. And we give just that overview. For we could delineate that even more. So your free will begins with yourself and your connected self, your higher self. Your free will then interacts with other layers of your conditioned programming within your cultures, within your genders, within your ideas that you are interested in, like the group that has gathered here. You naturally form expectations. And so your free will is influenced by those. And it is for you then to continue to soften interactions so that you can attune the human self to the connected self, so that you can attune the human self to the layers of connected programming from your societies, your cultures, your time and space. And you soften that to begin to attune to a broader aspect of self, to understand your interaction of free will and how your creative flow is continually informing with your awareness the future of life on Earth. In your own unique experience, in the collective, but that your information flows consciously into that so that there is not just reaction that is occurring, there is free will intention flowing in to the human experience on Earth. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Mr. Bang.
Greetings. I wonder if from your perspective of being the original pioneers within this universe, if you could share any additional wisdom of how we may balance courage and compassion to bring greater understanding and balance to our inner and outer worlds on the path towards integration.
Blessings. Before we begin, we note that with your question, you have called in other energies besides just the lyrics. They will not express through the voice, but they are more forwardly here now to bring information into that answer. For even at our beginning and your beginning, there is other beginning. For within every beginning, it has sprung forth from pure potential. It has sprung forth from the expression that has called it forth to mix linear and nonlinear terms. To reside within more contact of the totality of who you are and what your Akashic, broader history is. Within your very question was the answer. That with more compassion and conscious awareness of the inner self and the external experience, you blend your density, which brings forth linearity, and your non-physical, non-dense expression, which brings forth more connection outside of time and space. That as you have that energy of compassion, appreciation, softness, relaxing into that feeling in that moment, you naturally activate the direct connection with your finite self, your infinite self. And it amplifies that coherence within your physicality to consciously blend the linear and the nonlinear, the free will and the non-free will, the formula of interaction that blends the density that you are and the full connectedness, layer after layer after layer of more connection that you also are. It ends where it begins, in your awareness. And in those moments where it feels like I do not feel compassion for my inner self, I do not feel compassion for the external experience I'm observing or thinking about, relax into that, dear ones. Soften the self. Allow those authentic feelings to come into your awareness so that they may transform rather than remain the same. It is natural to you. It is as natural as the evolution of ascension that you are going through. The key is inbuilt into your physicality. And it is so common to you that you often overlook how profound it is. That though you cannot see it in a moment, legions of energies loving you, connected to you, are before your feet, supporting you to feel more of that compassion for the self, to feel more of that compassion for the external experience, to boldly use your awareness to congeal and shift the experience here. But life is fail-safe towards love. It comes from love. It is love. And we don't mean that in the human sense of love. It is the unconditional nature of consciousness that life comes from love. Another word, connection. And so with your awareness, you bring more consciousness to the connection that you have within you. That you are constantly flowing into the external realm. And that you are constantly receiving from the external realm. Quiet moments, even if they are short. Asking for greater awareness of the love that is flowing to you, so that you are filled and rejuvenated to continue that flow out from you. It is natural to you and always occurring. Soften into that more. For the depth of love that is within you is infinite. And yet you reside in the finite. Relax into this more. It is natural to you. Sometimes it flows in tears of joy. Sometimes it flows in tears of pain. It always flows. Your awareness is profound and part of the creation of this experience before you ever came into form. And as you reside here with the courage to be physical, you have great power within you. It is simpler than it often seems. You don't have to figure out the solutions, but become more aware of the solution that you are.
I have a question.
Yes.
We know that you all love us and care about us and are coming here to help us, and we all appreciate that tremendously. But I've never heard this question asked of the higher spirits. While you're looking down at us and watching us from where you are, what are you actually thinking and saying about us with all the behaviors that we are taking, with all the way we are acting? with all the discourse, with all of that is going on this planet, what are you feeling up there about us?
Beautiful question, thank you. While we speak of unconditional love, we must relate it to your experiences to help you understand the perspective. When you observe children behaving, there are certain expectations based on having observed them over time and understanding that they go through stages. And we certainly mean absolutely no disrespect as if you are children, but that you are residing within a density stage that is expected. And so we say with great love that as we observe you, you are on track, and yet it may not feel like it. We understand that the painful experiences that arise up are a natural flow of the information resurfacing, rearranging, and it is the natural chaos of creation. And in this density expression that you are moving through, it is much like your teenagers. There is a resistance. There is often a feeling of already knowing better, or as if solution is determined, and the will, the might of will bring forth solution without the broader perspective of the reaction that creates. And so you would expect that teenagers would go through some natural experiences of seeking to find their own way. And you must step back. You want to guide. And yet you realize the inevitable lack of control. From our perspective, this is a natural flow of life. This is a natural density that you are moving through. Yet we do not sit in front of a room of teenagers in that same sense. We sit in a room of masters remembering to apply it in this form. And this is the way of this density transition. That there are those that feel called into form because there is an Akashic memory within their DNA beyond the physical DNA that supports through this time frame, that helps to teach, that there is so much more that is within the realm, and yet it's not easy to see. So you bring forth your gifts, your experiences to help guide the broader collective that you also are. We see the layers of all that you go through here that is tied into universal layers of experience. And we know that you are on track. You have heard that call. You are moving forward on your path. And yet often it does not feel like it. And yet, even in this room, you are not alone. This is a natural evolution. The density moves whether humanity resists it or not. But life is fail-safe to love, and you are on track. Relax into it more. But keep doing what you are doing. As you follow your passions and you share your passions, you create change beyond the room that you are in. And broadly, you are living in a world with a lot of teenagers. But they grow up, and it happens faster than is often expected. And we only ever speak of you with great love, because we know the truth of who you are and who even the teenagers are. They are brilliant, infinite wisdom in their human suits, reacting to the energies that they are within their knowing. And you come forth to remember and express, to be the adults in the room.
Okay, there's another question over here.
Hi, thank you so much. I was wondering if you had any insight into the newest generation coming up, star seeds, indigo children, rainbow children.
Yes, beautiful. It is within all generations to have those that remember their creative spark and express it in different ways. And every generation is born into the informational experience of desires, of challenges, and solutions. So that they come forth understanding that to fulfill the movement forward. And what the generations, some in this room, have amplified and created very strongly is a deep desire for the evolution of humanity, an evolution of the earth experience. And what that grants to the next generation is that more and more of them can come forth in an energy that sustains their capability to access their divine creative spark. And so each generation will become attuned within their biomechanism to sustain more of that connection with the divinity, the infiniteness, the creativity that they are here to experience, that all are here to experience. And so within your more recent generations, you have seen much more interactivity with intuition and subtle gifts that are not so reliant or even compliant with the expectations of those that would not necessarily easily support the sovereignty and the creativity of all. And so your recent generations have come forth with more of an attuned capability to not suppress the infinite divinity that they are. Some of them, like your indigo generations, which span through time and are not just a singularly defined expression. Many of you may not have an indigo dominance, but you have an indigo accessibility to help break down the systems that would hold back or suppress the natural creativity that you are. And it will only keep expanding in many unique ways as humanity is more supported to embody their unique expression within the collective. Thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Hi. You know, I've been sitting here and trying to figure out what question I should ask, and all of a sudden my heart just opened up so fully that I surrendered into really standing and saying, just the frequency of how I say it, there's, I love you. The calling was so strong just to stand up and say, I love you.
Thank you, dear one. It is received, and we will end with this. Our prayer that we offer in our language. Isha, Ema, Eta. This means we receive you. We love you. We bring your love forward because this interaction within your awareness has changed us. That is the power that you are. We receive you. We love you. And we bring your love forward, forever changed because we have interacted with your awareness. Isha, Ema, Eta.
Join us for our 10th anniversary celebration during our 2025 Sedona Ascension Retreat, celebrating a new humanity uniting and a new earth arising, featuring the world's most renowned spiritual teachers, best-selling authors, and award-winning performers. Our retreat includes a dozen indoor workshops and 8 outdoor journeys into Sedona's Vortex sites, as well as a Native American performance by world champions, the Sinqua family. Enjoy on-stage presentations.
All crystallized seed at the center of that orb of light is your physical mind.
So today we'll be talking about religion versus spirituality, because I think there needs to be a clear line drawn between the two to get a better understanding.
This path that we're all on has been well mapped. The science is established, and what we are doing today is recovering.
Because there's going to be such higher states of consciousness on the planet, such an influx of energy, people will start getting activated. And you will have atheists that suddenly see angels.
The greatest gift you can offer I am your host, Suzanne Ross, and I invite you to join us for our 10th anniversary celebration. Just visit SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. Reserve your seats today. I'll see you in Sedona.
I love every single one of you with all of my heart. I mean it. I mean it. I love you and you and you and you and you and you and you. Thank you so, so, so much.